everyone, it's Stephen Light bringing the light, and today I want to talk to you about a subject called dealing with difficult people. Now these people show up in our lives in many different ways nearly every single day, and so let's look at a typical situation about what actually happens when we deal with these difficult people. So they say or do something, you take it a certain way, you get offended, you react, and that's it. The relationship seems to be sunk. And you ask yourself, geez, what happened? You start blaming that person. You feel justified in your position to blame them because rightfully so, look what they said and look what they did. That's why I feel like I was justified in the way I reacted. And you know, if you look at the result you get in terms of the relationship with that person or what you were trying to sort out, it isn't the result you probably wanted. And so there's got to be a different way of dealing with difficult people. And so let's try and see a different approach. So let's look at the moment that that person says or does something. What we do is we filter that through what we call our belief system, the lens through which we see the world. And when we filter it, what we do is we search for evidence to support our view. And that completely negates their view. This is the point we become entrenched in our emotional position. And that means that they are going to become entrenched in their position, and this is when you have butting heads. So we've got to look at a different way of dealing with that. Because that, when we have a look at it through our lens and we have a certain view on it and a perspective on it, it entrenches this emotional position that we now want to blame them for. And you need to take responsibility for this and shift this inside of you. Because if you can choose a different emotion, you can respond differently. So dealing with difficult people, looking out there for the answer, that's not going to help you. You've got to look in here and you've got to say, how do I respond differently to this person? And so that's when you've got to choose a quality or an emotion of compassion or empathy. Because even though we have different positions, we do have common interests. And that can be different for many different people. It might be a common interest around your relationship or a common interest around your passion for the issue that you're talking about. And most people deal with each other around the differences, their position versus the alignment, which is the commonality, the interests that you have. And so what I'm appealing to you to look at and to try a different way of dealing with these situations is realizing you play a role, and that's the only thing you can control. And when you approach it differently, these difficult people tend to fall away. So start seeing them as not being difficult people, but as being someone who has a very passionate and emotional view about a situation. So I'll give you an example. I referee rugby, and a few weekends ago I was refereeing a really close game, and the coach was standing on the sideline and he was really revving me from the side. So I stopped the game, I went over to him and I stood next to him, not in front of him, next to him, and I said, Coach, I appreciate your passion for the game and for wanting your team to win. I just want you to know that if you carry on with this vein and shouting and screaming and really having a go at me, you're teaching those players that they can also disrespect me. And that's not good for you. It's not good for me. It's not good for this game. So I'm going to ask you to please manage yourself. Well, let me tell you, that had a completely different perspective on him. And having a conversation with him a few weeks later, he said to me, that was the most profound and powerful thing a referee has ever said to me, because it gave him a completely different perspective with which to view a situation. So we can treat people with respect and compassion if we are really willing to do that. And it will shift the whole conversation that you're having and the whole experience you have with people. So dealing with difficult people isn't difficult if you really start managing yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this. I believe that there's some value to take away from it. And I'd really like for you to share this value with other people, because there are many difficult conversations that are being had out there, and there are people perceived as being very difficult. So please take this, share it with people who need to hear it, who are constantly having fights and arguments, and see if it can help them shift their experience. This is Stephen Light, bringing the light. Please connect with me and have a look at my Facebook page, Stephen Light, bringing the light, because I really do want to connect with you.